Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is my review of the Matrix sequels, or more precisely, me just talking about what exactly is wrong with them, and not accepting that there is something wrong with them. So, you know how Google is. If you watch, God, what did they have? They had that cheesy Netflix movie about, was it Motley Crue? Like a year and a half ago. I watched it, and I I searched for a couple of reviews to see what they said about it. Oh my gosh. Google decided I was the biggest Motley Crue fan in the world and gave me nothing but recommendations for Motley Crue interviews and news like every single day. And amazingly, there's new stuff every single day. Now what they do is they just like take an interview, chop it up into 30 bits, and every day they'll do a new, thing. But oh my gosh. So sometime also I clicked on one of those, all the movies that are leaving Netflix next month. So I get tons of, I usually don't, you want to discourage Google. So you're like, I'm not going to click. This algorithm needs to learn. But for some reason I saw, all the movies leaving in June. So usually when I check that stuff, it's nothing I ever wanted to see. This time it was literally my entire watch list was on the list of movies that were going off of Netflix. So I was like, okay, I got to prioritize it. I got to do at least, one per day. But I didn't understand what that meant. I thought like at the stroke of midnight, they all disappeared. Then I got recommended another web, page, and it said, these are the ones leaving June 7th, 14th, whatever. So I actually had like 20 more days to watch them. So I watched them right one after the other, which I've never done before. And it was very, very, very interesting. So I saw Matrix. I don't even know if I saw it in the theaters. I know I watched it on VHS tape like a million freaking times. And watched it whenever it was on cable. But I was in Iraq, the first, when the Iraq war started, when the second one came out, Matrix Reloaded. So then I got back and watched it on, it probably wasn't even DVD. I used to do the, it wasn't, what did they call, it was like pay-per-view back then. And I saw that and I was like, oh, what is this? So the good news is that by the time the third one came out, which I did see in theaters, my expectations were so incredibly low, and yet I still remembered hating it. So much to the point that anytime for like the last, what has it been, 17 years? Anytime ever anyone even mentions the sequels, like I get angry, like kind of weirdly so. It was not that large of an investment of my time or money of my life comparatively, but maybe it's just because I like the first one so much. I saw it a million times. I'm actually rewatching the first one right now because I found out I have, 3 more weeks to watch these things. But it's very, very interesting, especially when I'm watching the first one right now today, although this is not a review of that because I'm still halfway through, is that I liked the sequels. I liked them just fine. The problem is that both of them start terribly. The second one, much worse. So there's The Matrix, then there's The Matrix Reloaded, and The Matrix Revolutions. The problem with those titles is they're, number one, they really don't have anything to do with it besides, I guess, Reloaded is kind of a way to say sequel. They're completely interchangeable, you know what I mean? Technically, it should have been called, the first one is The Matrix, the second one should have been called The Matrix Reloaded Part 1, and the third one, The Matrix Reloaded Part 2, because the second two, or 2 and 3, they're filming 4 right now. They had to stop because of COVID, and I think they're going to probably restart fairly soon. They don't match. 2 and 3 match each other pretty well, but not exactly, and it's altogether strange. So Matrix 2 and 3, I'm just going to call them 2 and 3, were filmed basically over, I think it was 1 year of photography, and then, obviously a year of prep and a year of effects and all that type of stuff. And then they did 2 movies. And originally, I think I read that they were supposed to release them like within like a month of each other. My memory is failing me on how much time went between Back to the Future 2 and 3, but I think it was like 6 months or so. they've done this with, other movies, filmed them at the same time and then, released them kind of closer than typical sequels that are a couple years apart. I will say that I think that this whole trilogy would have worked better if it would have been done traditionally, where you film a movie, the sequel, 2 to 4 years later, the sequel 2 to 4 years later. So, a couple things I'm going to say that are super freaking shallow, but it's a visual medium, is if Morpheus puts on 30 to 40 pounds in between Matrix 1 and Matrix 2, you need to talk about it. You know what I mean? You have to say, oh, our training programs broke down. Something to explain the weight gain. And then do some CGI. They got him doing these freaking fights and flips, and you're like, dude, this guy doesn't look like he can go up 3 flights of stairs. Like, it's embarrassing. Number 2, and this is weird, and this is one of those things that you don't learn until it's kind of too late. So I try to help you people in your 20s who are not using moisturizer or drinking enough water. When I was younger, I always assumed aging went like, you just incrementally looked a little older every single year. Oh, hell to the fuck no. You will look essentially exactly the same for 4 to 5 years. Then you will suddenly age 4 years in about 1 year. You might notice this if you have any, friends from college, friends from the military, or maybe relatives, that you only see them like every 2 years. For a while, you'll be like, hey, man. And you know it. That time where you visit, you're like, whoa. Like, dude, you had a full head of hair 2 years ago. He's like, I don't know. It happened. So I'm not saying everyone went bald and everyone went fat. This one person got fat. But, like, I'm watching the first one, which is filmed like 98. It's like 3 years before they started filming the other two. So Trinity looks like the mom of the Trinity from the first one in the second and third one. I'm not saying she looks bad, but she looks like a mom, which is kind of weird because they're still trying to make her like the super cool one. But let's get into and this is just jumping around, obviously. The biggest problem in the Matrix movies is Zion. There's a couple references to it in the first one, and you just get to imagine what it is. And then you find out it's a rave in a really fake-looking cave with a bunch of extremely healthy people that look like they're all backup dancers, with a couple of old people. And the 30 minutes in Zion at the beginning of Matrix 2, that is the worst part in the entire trilogy. It's stupid, it's silly, it's boring, and it just almost ruins everything. Then they go into the Matrix, and it's pretty fun. You got characters I love, like the Merovingian and his wife Persephone and her boobs. And that's fun because it's just kind of like silly and light. There's a whole section where these two programs are jealous because the Merovingian program cheats with some blonde woman program, and his wife, the program, gets jealous, and she's like, I'll give you the information if Neo kisses me. And like, it's not stupid. It is silly, but weirdly enough, it's kind of like one of the most normal human moments in the entire trilogy. And I love that whole sequence. The weird thing is the Merovingian and Persephone show up in the third movie. Persephone has like no personality. I don't even think she speaks. And the Merovingian is just like, hi. He's like an NPC. He's just like, hi, go do this and that. And you're like, you guys had like a whole thing in the second movie. Did you all forget? Or is it because of your programs, you just do like updates and things just kind of loop? So Zion is stupid. It's a cavern at, near the center of the earth where everyone lives off some sort of paste, grown off of mushrooms or algae or something. But everyone looks freaking amazing. There's all these people with like these giant shoulders. Everyone's got nice clear skin, nice teeth, cool hairdos, clean hair. Like, it should just be... Remember where they show Mouse in the first one? He's all kind of like... Well, Mouse is kind of squirrely. And he got these sunken eyes and these bags. Like, that's what everyone who lives in Zion should look like. And then their Matrix version is their super cool version. The Matrix is just like the version of you with mousse in your hair. Like, that's it. Like, it should be vastly different. In fact, I think it should even be, I know they do this thing, residual self-image. It should be a bunch of really sickly looking people in Zion, and then the Matrix, you know, they look all cool and stuff. So the other major problem with the sequels, and like I said, they work. I misremembered them as being absolutely terrible. All I remembered from the first one was Zion. All I remembered from Matrix 2 was Zion. All I remembered from Matrix 3, like somebody asked me about it, I go, it's an entire movie of people in mech suits firing up at a hole in the ceiling. And that's, I mean, it's 20 minutes, but that's not remotely the entire movie. The biggest problem, like I said, is I think them filming the entire thing back to back, because you can just see everyone in every scene, in every line, in every pitch, in every punch, in every kick. They are pacing themselves because they knew they had a year of 16, 18, 20-hour days with one day off per week, you know, in Australia, and you just sleep at, you know, the hotel, and then you get back to work. So when you watch the first one, there's this guy, Marcus Chong, and he has a fascinating story. He's in the first one, and a whole bunch of stuff happened. Go look it up, Marcus Chong. But he was talking about, I forget which one of the Wachowski siblings said it, and they both transitioned, so their first names are different now. But the sibling said, you know, if this movie doesn't work, I'm back in Chicago driving cabs. And that movie is absolutely written and directed and everything as if, like, this has got to be amazing. This is our only chance to tell this story. We don't know if it's a hit or not. And like everything, there are whole sections. I said I wasn't going to review the first one, but there's whole sections where it's just agents, you know, chasing Trinity through a stairwell and over, and it's like so, like every shot they pick is just perfect. Where and then even the punches, like they're you know, there's some wire food that looks a little not so great, but the fights are intense and they're thrilling, and everything in the other two feels like, okay, this is day 27 of the highway chase. Okay, what am I doing? I'm in the green screen, and you know, I'm 40 pounds overweight, but I'm doing 3 flips or whatever. Like everyone, you can tell they're counting the days in their head. They're like on deployment. I remember I used to be as like, oh, we only got 213 days left. Like that's close remotely. The funniest thing is that one of the things that usually would drive everyone insane, and I was kind of reading some reviews to see if people freaked out. At one point, basically the lore of the Matrix and the real world and everything breaks down, and you just have to say Neo has magical powers in and out of the Matrix. And you just have to kind of accept that. The funny thing is that the franchise is so silly that actually fits. You're like, okay. Now, they didn't have multiple people be able to do essentially magic, but it was just one person who we've been hearing that he's special the entire time. So, yeah, screw it. One person essentially has magical powers, and he can like wave in the real world and make machines stop working and whatever. He can see machine code in the real world, even though it should, whatever, fine. But that works. One thing I did like, so in the first one, again, not trying to review, the resistance, whatever you call them, they're very cool, but they're also very suspicious. There's a lot of, I don't trust you, I'm going to point a gun at you while you prove who you are. In the second one, they're back, you know, kind of based out of Zion, where all of these people, they're like the heroes of Zion. So in that effect, they probably get less interesting, but one of the things I liked is everyone's very pure. Now that you have Cypher out of the mix, like everyone on whatever you call this team, they're like purely good and heroic people. We're talking, you know, not just the original crew from the first one, but even like the new characters you meet, like Niobe, the guy who isn't Mouse, who does the ammo cans, Mifune, Locke. Like everyone's kind of this purely good, heroic person. Honestly, I liked it just in that regard. Watching a movie about a bunch of heroes trying, you know, fight some evil machines, I'm with it. That being said, we get ridiculous amounts of repetition. How many scenes do you want of one of those hovercrafts going through? How many tunnels are there through this future Earth? There's just like unlimited tunnels. Also, what is the outside of the tunnel made? There's all kinds of machinery on the. I would assume that the tunnel is just made mainly to keep it from collapsing. Why is there all this kind of like Cybertron stuff on it? Whatever. Fine, whatever. There's a lot of repetition. Probably the part I got into most was the ammo can guy, because that's an actual ammo man is an actual position in the infantry. And I was a machine gunner at the time, so I was like, oh, they're machine guns, and so that was very compelling. And there's like this little 2-girl crew of their like anti-tank assault women, 0351s. One of them is this white girl with a buzz cut that I don't remember in any scenes, but they act like you're supposed to know who she is. So I'm guessing her whole subplot got cut out until the end. Rambling, I'm gonna wrap this one up. They're good. They are kind of wonky and weird. I'm pretty sure almost all of the lore collapses by the third one, and you have to say some people are just magic. Some people are just magical. Okay. But they're quite good, and they're definitely, if you also have these really negative memories of them, they're totally worth watching. There's going to be a fourth one. It doesn't look to be a soft reboot. It looks like there's going to be a continuation. I mean, the last we saw, Trinity was dead, and Neo was blind. But they also said this was the 6th repeat of that cycle, so these could be them from earlier versions in the cycle, whatever. Good. You know what? In fact, it was so much better than I remembered, and I like Wachowski's sibling stuff. I like Assassins, which they wrote, even if that got rewritten a lot. I love the first Matrix. I love Speed Racer. Speed Racer is one of my favorite movies. So I actually put into I believe it's on Netflix, Jupiter Ascending, a movie that I actually literally walked out of the theater. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm probably about an hour in. It was when all of a sudden the main character she goes, "I love dogs, everyone knows that," and I'm like, we've been watching for an hour, and that's never been. You want to establish like a major character trait for your character an hour in? Okay, whatever. I'm gonna give Jupiter Ascending another try. Hell yeah, I am. But yeah, go check them out. As far as Matrix, I mean, it's one of the things I like about it is, you can tell that they're just swinging for the fences. Everything is very, very tight. Everything works quite well. So I don't think I'm going to do a review of the first Matrix after I finish it, but probably will do Jupiter Ascending if I can make it through it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll have more movie reviews whenever I finish them. Thanks for watching. Bye.